This is Glow in the Dark Radio. The science fiction podcast, with original independent science fiction, written and performed by Mike Luoma, with music by Kevin MacLeod. The Vatican Assassin Trilogy and The Adventures of Alibi Jones by Mike Luoma are available in ebook, trade paperback, and audiobook wherever you find your books online. Get links and details at glowinthedarkradio.com. This is the Science Fiction Podcast, Glow in the Dark Radio. I'm your host, your writer and reader, Mike Luoma, and I've got part 1 of Alibi Jones and the Time War of the Devrizium, The Last Time Battle. It's a long, short story, if you can deal with that oxymoron, a long, short story, over 40 minutes, so we're going to be dividing it in two, first half this week, second half next week. Of course, fighting a time war isn't like battling in other wars. Sometimes it's a battle of wills. Other times, there's been open warfare. Alibi Jones doesn't always know what's in store when he wakes up on any given day. We're going to be waking up with Alibi Jones on a day when the Devrizium have decided they need a reckoning, an end to this time war. And we'll see how that plays out in part 1. Of Alibi Jones, The Last Time Battle, on Glow in the Dark Radio. In book news, a thank you to patrons who help support Glow in the Dark Radio. Thank you, if you're a patron, because I need your help. Everything just keeps getting more expensive. So if you can sign up and help support the podcast, thank you. You can do so for $2, $5, or $10 a month, and at the very least, I try to get you early episodes of the podcast. You should be getting this one on the early side. I also want to thank the folks at the Green Mountain Book Festival, which I was at last weekend. Very nice to meet John Scalzi and some of the other authors. Good to see organizer Andrew Liptak, who I haven't seen in a while. And it was a little bit, challenging because I haven't been in crowded rooms for a long time since pre-pandemic. But, it was good. Seemed to go well. Good conversation. I think it's going to be a video too. They'll have a video. So if I have that, I will share that with you. And I wanted to mention I have a new calendar out. It's the Exploring New England 2026 calendar with really beautiful spots all around New England featured in its pages. And I'll put a link to that in the show notes if you're interested in taking a look at my new calendar. Just out. And that is all for book news. We're going to get into part 1 of Alibi Jones, The Last Time Battle. Coming up next on Glow in the Dark Radio.
The Flash Pulp Podcast. 3 to 10 minutes of fiction brought to you thrice weekly. Now it's three apocalypses in one.
Yeah!
Suffering from tough, stuck-on humans. Well, 20 hellish hours of suffocation in the all-encompassing web of Carwick the Spider God will get them right out. Too many brains lying around? The ravenous mouths surrounding zombie-fighting Ruby will quickly clean those up. Nosy neighbors? Infect them with the murder plague, and watch as they dissolve into paranoid maniacs bent on the preemptive assassination of their friends and family. Why stop at one end of the world when you can have all three? You can find them all at flashpulp.com or search for them on iTunes.
Now here's part 1 of Alibi Jones, The Last Time Battle, on Glow in the Dark Radio. Alibi wakes up on Ceres Central. I know where I am, just can't be sure of when. He checks the comm unit. Supposedly it's 8:10 a.m. on Monday, December 1st, 2138. Is that right? Alibi has woken up in both his future and his past of late. A thought occurs to him. He holds up his hand so he can look at it. No wrinkles. Good, he says. He was 91 years old, for a short time, last month. After a trip through the fresher, Alibi sits down with a little breakfast to skim the morning newscast in the living room. A nervous part of his mind watches for any news of Lavalure, still missing months after Alibi helped blow up the man's city of Kismet. Luckily for Alibi, so far the destruction has been reported as an accidental firing of the old platform's engines beneath the city, thought to have been rendered inert up until that point. Accidents happen. Alibi isn't about to correct them. The news all seems normal. Seems like he's in the same timeline as yesterday. The Solar Alliance Assembly election is coming up. Things are getting nasty. Of course, the political crap always seems the same anyway. Alibi wonders if he'd notice any difference. Coming from a political family, people sometimes wonder why Alibi doesn't have more of an affinity for it. His Aunt Anita usually frowns and points out that he takes after his father. Don't usually like being compared to him, but if that's how he felt about politics and politicians, I'll take it. Alibi is half paying attention when the word bastard catches his ear. He rewinds the news footage to play it back.
A bastard branch of the family. He has no right to use our last name.
Alibi recognizes the older woman on the screen, a friend of his Aunt Anita's, Ms. Constantine, about 15 years older than Alibi. A Solar Alliance representative, like her father before her. They'd both served in the assembly with his aunt, Anita Capituna, when she was prime rep.
The name Nico Constantine means something in the Solar Alliance. It should. When this bastard goes by my father's name, he goes too far.
An announcer replaces the woman.
The colorful Electric Constantine, right here on Newsnight a few hours earlier. We're still awaiting response from Nico Constantine's people.
The screen fuzzes up and turns to static. Alibi tries to adjust the comm screen.
Your primitive entertainment device will not function in the wake of the disturbances caused by my temporal field.
The deep, mechanically enhanced voice startles Alibi. He looks up. His fears are immediately confirmed. One of the Devrizium stands before him. His armored exosuit is similar to the armor of Madone, one of the other Devrizium Alibi has encountered. Where Madone's red armor was highlighted with glowing black seams and apertures, this new one's shinier silver suit is highlighted in green and blue. Why didn't the temporal nullifier stop him? Soon as he has the thought, Alibi realizes Krish never developed the temporal nullifier in this timeline. That was another time? Who are you? Alibi questions the armored alien.
I am Gladone of the Devrizium, one of the 11. You are the anomaly, Alibi Jones.
Anomal what? Alibi says, teasing the being before him. Feigning nonchalance, he spoons in some cereal and starts chewing.
The deviation,
Gladone says.
The 10th pass, if indeed that is when we're to become, hinges on you or your actions or the combination of yours and Madone's actions. From our future post, we had plotted the past and pinpointed variations in the 9th pass stemming from that crux point. The shattering of the pass may even have become inevitable with so many variations at play. There now appears to be a new pass, but as we cannot now go back before the crux point, we cannot be certain all has occurred as before. It may still be the 9th, a new variation. We are unsure. It would make for a remarkably late splintering.
Alibi closes his mouth. His jaw dropped sometime during the alien's explanation. He finishes chewing and swallows his cereal.
You are somehow the cause, Alibi Jones,
the Devrizium says. Unsure of what to say, Alibi fumbles for words. Sorry? He finally says. Didn't mean to cause any problems.
An apology? How quaint, the armored one says. This has grown far too great in scope and scale to be assuaged by simple sorries. You have somehow sown chaos, Alibi Jones. The 11 now meet to discuss solutions. I have been tasked with your summons.
My summons?
You will come with me, Alibi Jones.
Gladone transports Alibi, both bound yet protected by a stasis field, to the homeworld of the Devrizium, a dark world of ultraviolet beauty Alibi once visited when he used the traveled chair of Inokata to travel by thought. While then he thought he might be the first human to see their world, now Alibi wonders if he'll be the first human being to actually set foot on Devrizia. Gladone guides Alibi into a large hall inside one of the buildings. Alibi squints, trying to get his eyes to adjust to the dusky light. 10 other armored Devrizium sit in an incomplete circle in the dimly lit center of the hall. Gladone drops Alibi into the middle of them, and then sits in an empty chair, filling one of the 2 gaps in the circle. The other remains.
Madone's place?
A Devrizium in gold and green raises a question.
This is Alibi Jones? It is, Gladone says. You are disappointed? I thought the means of our race's destruction would be taller.
Alibi almost laughs, but stifles the urge. He doesn't know how his hosts, his captors, would take it.
I do not see why we wait.
A Devrizium in red metallic armor with golden seams speaks, his voice mechanical yet higher pitched than the others so far.
We have the means of our race's destruction here in front of us. Let us destroy him and be done. You know it is not that simple, Rashon.
Another Devrizium in red and black, similar to Madone, says. Thank God for that, Alibi says. He's not sure the Devrizium pay him any attention.
Our destruction seems already assured,
the red and black one continues.
How we destroy him may be important for saving our race. You all know Madone tried to destroy Alibi Jones and failed,
the gold and green one says.
You should not speak as if this was something easily done. Yet he has been brought here,
one in black and purple notes. Oh, you noticed, Alibi cracks. They don't seem to notice.
We can control his movements and his whereabouts,
the black and purple one says.
Even if we cannot kill him. Only on a limited scale,
gold and green says.
Attempts to remove him from this pass have failed even after apparent initial success.
I really hate it when people talk over me as if I wasn't here, Alibi says as loudly as he can.
He appears to be trying to speak to us,
gold and green says.
Gladone, let us hear him through your stasis field. He is not saying anything of importance,
Gladone says. Alibi glares at the armored alien.
Nevertheless,
gold and green says,
we should hear him. As you wish.
Can you hear me now? Alibi asks. Gold and green nods. Good, Alibi says. He's ready to rant. Thanks to you, I've been in timelines where you and humanity were in a big open war, been in timelines where you've won. I can kind of remember a timeline where Madone did things differently when he came to visit me to get the time box. I've seen Madone die at least a couple of times now, but mostly I just remember this timeline, where Shira showed up with your time box, Madone appeared and tried to kill me, then took the box and imploded, and everything went to hell. So I'm still here. How is that my fault?
We do not know,
gold and green says.
It just is. Madone was our chronicler, kept track pass to pass.
The one who looks similar to Madone, in red and black, says.
That is why we call him mad,
Rashon says. The Devrizium in red and black turns its helmet to look at Rashon for a moment. Rashon turns to look back. Alibi wonders if he's missing some form of silent communication between Rashon and the red and black Devrizium. The one like Madone then turns back to address Alibi.
With Madone now gone, we are without easy reference to past passes,
it says.
There was a reason you became important in a past pass, but that reason is obscured to our current past recollection. We would have to look it up. Instead, we take Madone at his word, for he was the one who knew.
This is my life you keep messing with, Alibi shouts, getting mad. The gold and green one leans towards Alibi before it speaks.
What is but one life when we are otherwise discussing the end of all time? The chronicler left a recording,
Red and Black says. It activates something. The floating translucent image of Madone appears over Alibi's head.
My brethren, fellow 12,
Madone says.
If you are seeing this, I am gone.
The hologram's appearance silences the hall.
We are losing the Time War of the Devrizium.
The projection continues.
I am about to undertake a rash action. Yes, I will act like you, Rashon.
Rashon nods back at the hologram.
We do not need a war, and yet we do. There are few of us left, for we have meddled with time and we pay the price with our race, with our accidental temporal genocide. We are forced to remain encased in our null suits, afraid now to risk exposure to raw passing linear time. They are our protection from time and our means of traveling through it. Yet we first adopted them in order to stop one of our own gone rogue. We began in good cause, eliminating that self-styled lord of time. Can any of you remember that now?
Alibi looks around the circle at the Devrizium in their null suits. If they were human, they would appear to be shifting uncomfortably. Not that Alibi can read their armored alien body language.
But the null suits also made us eternal outsiders. Not native to this pass now, nor any pass. The time stream of our births, our native pass, is long gone. Went away as we cast aside passes with our numerous changes. And so the null suits now are also our prisons. As we must wear these null suits to survive, so must we wage this time war to survive. I see no reason to listen to this philosophical blather from a dead one.
The black and purple one breaks in. The projection stops.
His attempts to compile our history made him mad. We have all seen his twisting charts and arcane diagrams. Are they the work of a sane one? The Madone was named to the 12 in the fragmenting fourth pass, which was much like this one,
Gold and Green says.
His reteaching of the purity to the primitive of the Devri restored stability to the timeline of the fifth pass. I say we listen, Codone. Let the recording play on.
Black and purple Codone offers no further objection.
In the first versions of the ninth pass, we thought we could control these humans,
Madone says as the recording resumes.
But we could not even control ourselves. This new pass was born in war. As time unraveled in the year 2222 in our eighth pass, we jumped into this one 10,000 years ago. As Codone and Nigo know well, aside from myself, we found there were already ninth pass versions of the 12 who needed to be eliminated. Perhaps I was mad to suggest it, to each kill our other self. I still see no other way. We have, in a way, been lucky that the ninth pass versions of Codone and Negon killed their eighth pass selves, for they have brought a special wisdom to the 12.
Look at that, Codone! Alibi cracks. If you'd stopped it, you would have missed hearing him say nice things about you.
Blather,
Codone says in a loud voice.
Like our younger brethren, this human race has shown an unpredictability which has been hard to factor into our plans for this pass.
The recording continues, oblivious to the interplay.
And yet, this pass sees fit to protect them. As we have seen previously, a going timeline occasionally seems to attempt to protect individuals and things it deems necessary for its continued existence. For these, their place in the timeline is not easily changed. Some of these humans seem to be deemed so necessary by this pass. Madone's ghost makes excuses for his failure.
A blue and purple, null-suited Devrizium Alibi hasn't heard from before says, interrupting, and stopping the recording of Madone.
We have not been able to kill the woman either,
Golden Green points out.
but she is under our control for the time being.
The woman, Alibi says. Who do you have?
The one who stole the box.
Golden Green tells him.
The one Rashon could not kill at the time.
Shira, Alibi says. Is she here? The Devrizium ignore his question. The recording of Madone, somehow paused automatically, begins again.
The crux point is the delivery of the box to Alibi Jones,
Madone says.
We can only pinpoint that moment and act on it when Jones actually uses the box. We go back to retrieve the box. Sometimes we are successful and sometimes we fail, but always these humans discover ways to figure out temporal technology and find some way to oppose us. In this, we have failed. There's no way around this crux point,
Madone says.
Gladone's excellent suggestion of keeping Jones in captivity past that point merely resulted in a dead end, a brief and diminished timeline. Luckily, only a fractional pass easily corrected. Then Rashon's quick grab led humanity to ramp up their temporal defenses faster than in any variation of the timeline we've seen before. They were ready for us and our time war. That is why we are losing now. We are not losing anymore,
Rashon interrupts.
Thanks to Madone, we are not. At least not in the same way.
Golden Green counters.
Maybe we keep listening.
The recording continues.
I have one last idea to try. One last attempt to make,
Madone says.
I have picked up the temporal sword of Devrizium. Its null properties may allow me to kill Alibi Jones and reclaim the box. I will be jumping back after I finish this recording. If I am not successful, you are seeing this by my design. If that is the case, there is bad news. The only way to save our race now is to end time itself. This pass. Indeed, there is a risk it will end permanently. Nevertheless, we must return to the start of our time and jumpstart a new pass. Otherwise, we are doomed. Blather, again,
Cadone says.
He recorded this after meeting with us in 2142, but in his 2142, it was still the 7th variation of the 9th pass. The humans were facing us in open war with temporal defenses. That's just no longer the case. Here we are in 2142 with none of that. A new variation of the 9th. And I say there is a new pass.
Wait, Alibi says. It's 2142? You brought me ahead in time? The 11 ignore him.
We are not certain of that,
Golden Green cautions.
And all the same, we are still in a variation of the 9th pass. And as I probe ahead, I find I cannot travel as far as I once could. A sign this pass is collapsing. Madone is gone. He kept the travel box from the humans all the same,
Codone says.
This is undoubtedly a new variation, if not a new pass. If the humans develop their own temporal tech, it will not be soon. We need to check on Devrizium,
Gladone says. The rest fall silent.
Has anyone tried to go ahead to his awakening?
None answer. Gladone disappears and reappears.
I could not travel beyond 2170,
Gladone says. The others remain quiet, but shift in their places, clearly uneasy.
Whatever pass we now inhabit, it is closing in around us.
Alibi takes advantage of the silence. This isn't a war, Alibi says. It's just you, Devrizium, screwing up the timeline over and over again. No wonder it's collapsing. How do the rest of your people feel about you 12, 11, deciding on life and death time things like this?
The rest?
Gladone asks.
There are no others. We are the Devrizium. There were others originally,
Golden Green says. Alibi still doesn't know its name.
Madone chronicled the stories from earlier passes of our original people, the Devri. Most disappeared after the 5th or 6th pass.
Alibi is stunned. You're it? You 11? You're the entire Devrizium?
Mistakes made in earlier passes resulted in great losses among the Devri,
Golden Green says. Wow. And Madone said you killed later versions of yourselves? Alibi wants to be sure he heard right. You're not doing a great job of preserving your race.
When we arrived in the 9th pass from the 8th, we found duplicate versions of ourselves in this pass,
Golden Green explains.
It was necessary.
Maybe you're all mad ones, Alibi mumbles. So, he challenges them, why hasn't the 10th pass version of your group shown up and tried to kill you yet, huh?
They would not come here.
A Devrizium in a crimson null suit with golden lit seams who hasn't yet spoken chimes in.
If a 10th pass has begun, we are not yet in that 10th pass. We will have to travel there.
And try to kill the 10th pass versions of yourselves? Alibi asks.
If we must,
Codone says. That was part 1 of Alibi Jones' The Last Time Battle, part of the Time War of the Devrizium, and of course part of The Adventures of Alibi Jones' Chronological Omnibus here on Glow in the Dark Radio. Well, Alibi Jones is in front of the Devrizium. He's been hauled up in front of the 11. He thought that was just the rulers of the Devrizium. It turns out those are the surviving members of their race, the only survivors, the 11. And they just heard from the evidently dead Madon as to why he started this time war, or let it start. And we're going to get back to the Devrizium and Madon and Alibi in part 2 of The Last Time Battle on our next episode of Glow in the Dark Radio. A quick rundown of my book news again. There is a new calendar I've just put out, the Explore New England 2026 calendar. I'll put a link in the show notes, or just go to Lulu and look for my stuff, my books and my calendars, lulu.com. Again, a big thank you to the folks who put on the Green Mountain Book Festival in Burlington last week. Very cool to see everybody out there and to meet John Scalzi and maybe to have seen you. So thank you again for coming out if that was the case. And again, a thank you to patrons who help keep Glow in the Dark Radio happening. You keep me glowing here. And if you want to do that, if you want to help, please do. Head over to patreon.com/glowinthedarkradio. And you can sign up for $2, $5, or $10 a month and help support the podcast. That is all for this week. I am your host, your writer and reader, Mike Luoma. Thank you again for listening to Glow in the Dark Radio. Glow in the Dark Radio. This podcast presentation is copyright 2025 by Michael F. Luoma and is protected under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 4.0 International License, CC by NCND 4.0. Music by Kevin MacLeod. You can find his work at Incompetech.com. Mike's books are available in ebook, paperback, and audiobook, wherever you find books online. Get links and more details at glowinthedarkradio.com and mikeluoma.com. This has been a presentation of Glow in the Dark Radio.